Chapter 1. Psychic Scars. The alley tasted like copper and ozone. Drake crouched beside the body, hands shaking as he pulled a square of yellow origami paper from his coat pocket. 4 hours overdue. The tremor ran from his fingertips to his wrists. The paper fluttered. Magister Oren Vale's eyes stared at nothing. Blood pooled black beneath the corpse, soaking into ritual robes worth more than Drake earned in a month. The chest wounds formed a pattern. 3 intersecting lines carved deep, precise as surgical incisions. Drake's psychic sense prickled at the edges of the cuts, tasting residue that made his mouth water. He folded the crane's first diagonal crease. His thumb slipped.
Drake?
Mira stood 3 feet away, AI glasses projecting holographic overlays across the crime scene. Her scanner chirped, mapping psychic residue in shades of violet and blue that only she could see through her tech. She adjusted the frames with one hand, the nervous tell that meant she'd noticed his condition. "Reading it," he said. His voice cracked. The paper crane took shape between his fingers, wings uneven, neck crooked. He set it on the pavement beside the body and activated his tracking sense. Amber light flared behind his eyes. The world shifted into layered spectrums. The alley walls pulsed with residual energy streak magic, black market deals, the narrow's ambient noise bleeding through crumbling concrete. But the fresh signature eclipsed everything else. It saturated the space around Vale's corpse like invisible fog, thick enough to choke on. Drake breathed it in. Copper and ozone, yes. But underneath, something familiar. A psychic fingerprint he'd tasted before but couldn't place. The signature tasted calm. Methodical. No rage, no fear, no pleasure. Just purpose. His hands stopped shaking. His throat constricted. Saliva flooded his mouth. The involuntary response to prey. The residue hung in the air thick enough to drink. He made himself stand. Same killer.
You're sure?
He nodded. The signature coated his tongue. Familiar. Wrong. Somewhere in his memory he'd encountered this before, but withdrawal clouded recognition, turning certainty into frustrating static. Getting a trail? 3 blocks northwest. Drake pointed toward the twisted maze of the Narrow's deepest sector. Fresh. Maybe 20 minutes old. Mira's fingers danced across her holographic interface.
Mapping it. Captain Harlan's en route, ETA 4 minutes. We should wait for...
Trail won't last. He moved before she could object, following the psychic thread. The signature hung in the air, brilliant to his tracking sense. Each step pulled him deeper into the Narrow's claustrophobic geography. Behind them, crime scene lights painted harsh shadows across vertical slums stacked 7 stories high. Water dripped from overhead pipes. Somewhere above, an energy weapon discharged. Gang territory enforcing boundaries. The ever-present hum of the rift scar vibrated through the city's bones, a constant reminder of dimensional barriers worn paper-thin. The signature led northwest. Drake tracked it through overlapping psychic noise, filtering thousands of residual impressions to follow the single thread. This was what he did. Track. Find. Mira followed 3 steps behind, her breath coming faster as he picked up the pace. 2 blocks. The signature remained strong, almost taunting. Drake tasted the killer's emotional state, that terrible calm, that absence of doubt. Whoever carved Vale's chest hadn't hesitated, hadn't questioned, had simply executed a plan with mechanical precision. 3 blocks. The trail began to fragment. The Narrow's ambient psychic noise interfered. Thousands of overlapping signatures from residents living stacked on top of each other in magic-saturated poverty. Drake pushed harder, trying to filter the static, but withdrawal weakened his sensitivity. The familiar signature scattered into pieces, each piece blending with the district's background hum until separation became impossible. He stopped at an intersection where 4 alleys converged. The trail dissolved into nothing. Lost it. Mira's scanner swept the area.
My tech's picking up residue traces, but nothing directional. It just ends here.
Doesn't end. Dissipates. Too much interference. Drake's hands started shaking again. The brief focus of tracking had held the craving at bay, but now it returned with doubled intensity. 4.5 hours overdue. His skin crawled. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cold night air.
We should head back. Captain Harlan will want your report.
Drake pulled out another square of paper. orange this time. His fingers fumbled the first fold. The crane that emerged looked twisted, wings at wrong angles, neck bent like something broken. He stared at it.
Drake.
Need a minute. Mira's expression shifted behind her AR glasses.
How long?
Since last file? 4 hours, maybe 5.
That's not what I'm asking.
He met her eyes. Don't know how long I can hold it together. Maybe through the captain's debrief, maybe not.
I could tell you're tracking a secondary lead. Buy you time to...
No. Sharper than he'd meant, not making you lie for me again. Boot's steps echoed down the alley. Captain Harlan emerged from the darkness, her ice-blue cybernetic eye gleaming in the dim light. She wore her uniform pressed and perfect despite the 3 a.m. crime scene, because chaos in the world meant rigidity in herself. Her prosthetic right hand flexed once. The unconscious stress tell Drake had learned to read.
Report.
Drake's voice steadied. Third victim, same MO. Ritualistic chest wounds forming a pattern. Psychic residue matches the first 2 murders, single perpetrator. Tracked the signature 3 blocks before it dissipated in ambient noise.
Pattern identification?
Working on it. He didn't mention the familiar, yet unidentifiable quality. Didn't explain how the signature should mean something, but withdrawal clouded recognition. Harlan's natural eye focused on him while the cybernetic one performed its independent scan.
You look like hell, Detective.
Functional.
That wasn't a question.
Her prosthetic hand flexed again.
I've got Mayor Ran, the Mage Council, and Internal Affairs Agent Corso all demanding results. Archmagister Vore is threatening to pull her people's cooperation. The magical community thinks a soul eater is hunting them, and you're our only tracker with the skill set to...
Prove them wrong. Drake finished her sentence. Get results or give them a scapegoat. Copy that, Captain. Harlan's jaw tightened.
23 years I've worn this uniform. I don't throw my people away, but I can't protect you if you become a liability.
Understood.
Then get me something I can use. Identify that pattern. Find me a connection between victims beyond their magical ability. Give me any lead that doesn't point back to the predator in this alley whose hands shake because he's overdue for feeding.
The words hit like physical blows. Mira shifted position, putting herself slightly between Drake and Harlan's scrutiny.
Drake's already identified it as a single perpetrator. His tracking narrowed the timeline to 20 minutes. That's more than we had before.
I need more than more. I need a name.
Harlan turned back toward the crime scene.
You've got 48 hours, Drake. Then I'm pulling you off the case and letting Internal Affairs ask their questions. Dismissed.
She disappeared into the maze of alleys. Mira waited until the boot steps faded before speaking.
You need to visit the Crucible.
Don't.
I'm not judging. I'm stating tactical reality. You can't track in this condition. Feed, then work the case. I'll handle the evidence processing and buy you time.
Drake looked at the broken origami crane in his palm. 4.5 hours had become 5. The craving had teeth now, physical pain radiating from his core. Yeah, okay, cover for me. Mira's hand touched his shoulder briefly.
Be careful.
He left her there, working her scanner's holographic interface while crime scene techs photographed Vale's ritualistic wounds. Moving through the Narrow's twisted geography on autopilot, his body knowing the route to the Crucible without conscious thought. The entrance hid behind a condemned building's basement, a maintenance hatch marked with graffiti in 5 languages. Drake descended narrow stairs slick with condensation. 3 levels down. The air grew warmer, thick with the smell of sweat and ozone and chemical stimulants. Sound filtered up, the roar of arena combat, the multilingual haggling of black market dealers, the throbbing bass. The Crucible sprawled through abandoned subway tunnels. Sci-Fi enforced neutrality through overwhelming violence. Neon lighting painted everything in garish purples, greens, reds that reflected off moisture-slicked walls. The central arena occupied a former train platform where augmented fighters battled for crowd entertainment. Blood and sparks flew in equal measure. Drake skirted the crowd, keeping to the perimeter. Private alcoves ringed the arena, small caves carved into ancient concrete where dealers conducted business under Sci-Fi's protection. His eyes, still carrying traces of amber glow, scanned the alcoves until he found the one he needed. Sci-Fi lounged against the far wall, bioluminescent tattoos pulsing across his shaved scalp in patterns that tracked psychic readings from the crowd. His heterochromatic eyes, One brown, one crystalline, fixed on Drake the moment he entered.
Ah, detective.
Sci-Fi's voice carried despite the noise.
Wearing death energy like cologne again. How aromatic. Did you know crystallized agony has a half-life of approximately 6 hours? Fascinating, really. Your particular cologne is quite fresh.
Need a vial.
Direct, I approve. Though manners cost nothing, and nothing has become quite expensive in our fascinating city.
Sci-Fi's crystalline eye swirled with colors as it processed Drake's psychic signature.
You're 40% below optimal functioning. Impressive restraint, detective. Most soul eaters would have fed at the scene by now. Not most. No, not you. The moral predator. The detective who refuses his nature. Tell me, does your conscience taste better than death energy? I'm genuinely curious.
Drake's hands shook. Got credits. Need a vial.
Of course. Commerce transcends philosophy.
He produced a crystalline vial from layers of clothing tech mesh under ritual robes under armored vest. The vial's seal glowed crimson. High potency. Illegal extraction. Concentrated psychic energy harvested through methods Drake didn't let himself imagine. The price was triple what legal vials cost. Drake transferred credits without negotiating.
Pleasure conducting business.
Sci-Fi tilted his head, studying him with predatory curiosity.
You're serial killer. Have you identified the pattern yet?
Working it.
Allow me to provide complimentary information, because I enjoy watching people work puzzles. Cypher's smile widened. Curious geometry when one maps the murders. Nodes, intersections, the sort of pattern that makes a city's bones ache, yes? Makes one wonder about intention, random murders versus...
Drake's focus cut through his craving. What do you know about the killings?
Only what everyone knows. 3 dead mages, ritualistic patterns, a city sliding towards civil war while external invasion looms, the usual apocalyptic timing.
Sci-Fi waved one hand dismissively.
I trade in information, detective, not participation, though I would very much like to know the answer to this particular puzzle. Do let me know when you solve it. I'll pay well for exclusive knowledge.
Drake palmed the vial and moved toward the darker alcoves where he could feed unobserved. Found a corner behind stacked crates where neon light didn't penetrate. He fumbled the seal, fumbled it again, finally got it open. The energy hit his system like lightning. Euphoria flooded his nerves. The vial's contents carried the psychic signature of fear and pain. Someone's terror crystallized into consumable form. Drake drank it anyway. Power surged through his tracking sense, amplifying his abilities to razor clarity. The world sharpened, his hands steadied, the trembling stopped, the predator in him purred with satisfaction. He hated himself. And then he saw Marcus Valen. His mentor moved through the crowd toward Cypher's private meeting room, the one reserved for high-value clients conducting business they couldn't risk in semi-public alcoves. Marcus walked with his characteristic military bearing, tall and distinguished despite the hour. Silver-streaked hair caught the neon light. He wore tactical clothing Drake had seen 100 times before. Marcus didn't notice Drake watching from the shadows. Sci-Fi met him at the meeting room entrance, exchanged brief words Drake couldn't hear over the arena noise, then led him inside. The door closed. One-way glass prevented observation from outside. Marcus, the man who'd trained him, vouched for him, saved him. Here, meeting with Sci-Fi at 4 a.m. The steadiness in his hands felt wrong now. Too controlled. Like someone else's hands. Marcus had security clearance for the city's defense grid. Access to ward network schematics. Knowledge of ley line intersections and magical infrastructure. The ritualistic pattern carved in Vale's chest. The familiar yet distorted psychic signature Drake couldn't identify. Familiar because he'd encountered it before. In training exercises. In casual meetings. In the comfortable presence of mentorship. Distorted because something changed it. Transformed it. The signature tasted like Marcus, but wrong. Overlaid with something else. Something cold and methodical and utterly without doubt. Drake remained in his corner. Watched shadows move behind the one-way glass. The arena crowd roared. A fighter went down hard, blood pooling on the platform. The broken orange crane still occupied his coat pocket. Drake pulled it out, wings twisted, neck bent. He'd investigate. Not report, not accuse. Just watch. Maybe the drug distorted his judgment. Maybe paranoia constructed patterns from chaos. Or maybe something worse had infected this city. The meeting room door remained closed. Drake waited, watched. Marcus's silhouette moved behind the one-way glass. The broken crane crumpled in his fist,